Thank you. Over to you, Prateek.
Check. Okay. Cool. Thanks for doing this. I think everybody in the last 10 or 12 months has been talking about AI, but right before that, everybody for the last 24 months has been talking about Web3. The real question is that will AI go down the path of Web3, or will it going to make a larger difference in delta in the way that agencies are run? Where there's lots of work that has happened in this space. There are lots of award-winning campaigns, as they call it, quote unquote, that has happened because of AI. But I think that we've already come over the hump of all brands and all agencies being extremely excited about what AI can do. The real question that we're trying to ask and answer as we go along is, how are we going to be able to sustain this, both on the brand side and more importantly on the agency side? And is the structure of the agency that we have seen exist for so long, and then there was a digital agency ecosystem that came along, disrupted the structure a little bit. Will the AI revolution, or as everybody is so supremely excited about it, so excited that Sam from OpenAI had to quit his job and come back in 1 week. But if everybody is on that path and everybody is on that path of building this sort of an ecosystem, what is actually happening in the agency world and how is it actually impacting the brand world? That's what we're here to discuss, and obviously I know these two boys forever, so it's going to be an honest and open conversation. And please, if there are any questions, put your hand up. Happy to answer, happy to engage in conversation. So, Sid, I'm going to start with you because you've been studying this for way longer than all of us knew this existed. And what do you think? What do you think is happening in this space? And how do you think that this intersection of AI and creativity per se is going to come back and affect both the clients and the agency world?
Thanks, Prateek. I think that as marketers, and we saw this with Web3 and blockchain last year, we both have a habit as well as a necessity to figure out how the latest in the landscape can be used for anything to do with clients. Right? We have to continue proving that we can be an innovating partner to clients. We have to continue proving that we know what's going on with the latest in the landscape. And in doing so, we very often rush and build on the first idea we have when it comes to any new technology. Right? So with AI, everyone's jumped on the bandwagon and done, oh, AI done creatives, AI done experiences, AI done whatever. But I think the true test of whether we as marketers will be able to make AI value additive as far as clients is concerned is, are we going to be able to figure out where in their marketing funnel AI sits? Right? It'll be all well and good for us to do 1 or 2 campaigns and get a few awards, but if we really want to make AI a value driver for our P&Ls as agencies, we're going to have to figure out how do we create a solution that is actually part of the marketing funnel, that's going to be part of their media plan year on year. Otherwise, we're not really thinking about this from a business point of view. We're just thinking about this from a noise point of view, right? Now, even when you think about internally, you brought up AI and creativity, and there's one school of thought which is saying that, hey, AI is going to standardize creativity. You know, it's going to make everyone write the same type of copy, create the same type of graphics, the same type of videos. But I think what we're missing is asking how can we actually integrate AI into the everyday operation of anyone inside the agency. Today, let's say Rishabh and me work next to each other, and there's constantly times where he'll come to me and say, hey, is this possible from a tech point of view? And I'll go to him and say, hey, is this possible from a video point of view? I feel like having AI assistants that are knowledgeable about different fields of the marketing spectrum will enable individuals within the agency to really cross-pollinate ideas so much faster.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that you touched upon, which was very, very interesting, is that any new technology that does come to the surface, right? Like last year also was metaverse and stuff. And the thing is, when it comes from an advertising standpoint or probably from a creative field, it always towards the client starts off as a gimmick. And the thing is that, hey, we can do something from a noise building standpoint, saying that, okay, fine, you guys are the first people who are going to sit down and do this. It's innovation, it's all of those things. We might not get the same reception, but it's a good PR stunt, it's good publicity and stuff, right? But what you're saying is completely right. Most of these innovations essentially die down in a certain manner because we've not been able to integrate that into our daily lives. And when I say daily lives, I mean agencies or the workplace. So the thing is that, yeah, it's going to be important for us to like figure out how we want to integrate this into our lives to make it a lot more efficient and then hence make it a lot more sustainable for an agency.
And Rishabh, I'm coming back to you, right? Like saying that the creative process that you usually take for building a video narrative, a script, the ability for the client to actually visualize what you want them to see as a final output, take the brief, understand the brief, decode the brief, and go back with a solution that is that you want to convince the client to deliver alongside of you. How have you started to use AI to better that internal process and bridge the gap between what the client is seeing and what you're able to deliver?
Sure. I think that what we've, when we're sitting down working on creative pitches, and if it's going to be visual first, and I think generative AI at this point in time is, it's overused as a word, but I'm still going to use it. But I'm just saying that all of those things that have been happening from a visual standpoint, which has taken, a good tick in our lives. Now the thing is that when we're sitting down and pitching to clients, and as business heads, or probably as business owners, as you guys, y'all are constantly trying to figure out what is the most efficient way to sell something, right? For me, the most efficient way to sell a creative idea or a video is what I would look into first, because that's business conversion for me. So the thing is that, can I essentially use AI? Can I use Midjourney? Can I use this? Can I use Script Room? All of those things that are put together for me to make the concept sell easier for the client to comprehend. And it does happen in multiple different use cases that we've gone ahead and we've really won pitches because we've been able to make the client visualize much better instead of sitting around going to a storyboard artist and making all of those things, which is still a long drawn process. But it's just a lot more impactful, because the thing is that the output that AI is giving you is a lot more holistic. It's got feel to it. A storyboard doesn't have a feel to it. You know what I mean? You're not going to get the textures, you're not going to get the colors, you're not going to get the mood lighting. In my first sell itself, if I'm able to take all of this, right, to the client with minimal effort, with text that I can put in there, and come close to at least the visualization of the final output, I am home. I've made a better sell than someone else who's coming after me in a pitch.
But Sid, and it comes back to you, right? Like everybody today in this whole AI spectrum is talking about one thing more importantly than the other. It's no longer about software knowledge. It's no longer about being able to use a tool as effectively, right? Because over even a medium-term point of view, that's going to standardize itself, right? Like if you know Photoshop, you know Photoshop. If you know Illustrator, you know Illustrator. You probably know it a little better than somebody else, and that's your differentiator. What everybody has been talking about is prompt engineering, has been talking about how do I deliver this message to this AI ecosystem for the AI ecosystem to continuously give me the result that is tangible in the way that I would like the result to be seen, right? How do you see that affect the current workforce that's available inside of our systems, and what are the kind of skill sets that the upcoming workforce needs to start to put into their systems to become a lot better at this?
I think that's a really interesting question to ask, especially at this point in time, because one thing that, what Rishabh was saying, what you're agreeing with as well, is if there's one thing AI has already done for the agency, is it's made the agency able to articulate vision in a much more visual way, right? So today, if you have an idea and it's powerful enough and you're using the right set of tools, you're able to articulate that idea to a client or to your teams a lot better in a lot more comprehensive manner, right? But can it be better than that? And that's where prompt engineering is going to come in and play a huge role, right? Prompt engineering could become a different type of pseudo engineering. You don't need to have studied how Python works or C++ works, but as long as you're able to understand how do I instruct this piece of software to give me something that I want, your ability of articulating your vision is going to get that much better. Now, how do we enable this at the agency level? For anyone who's used ChatGPT today, right, there's a lot of prompting that has to happen. There's a lot of context setting that has to happen. So say within any agency, if you're on the BD team and you want to use ChatGPT to come up with a pitch or come up with a email, everyone is going to start with the same thing. Hey, this is my agency. Here's what we do. Here are my 20 clients. Here are my talking points. Now, based on all of this information, answer my questions, right? I feel like that repetitive work is going to become platformed, right? Where agencies will very soon have tools where this context will be preset for their teams, where these agents will be pre-prompted, right? So you will very soon have a business development bot that is available to your BD team that knows everything about your agency and that knows how your agency speaks. And you're going to be able to now go straight to getting value because it already has that information, right? Similarly, you will probably have bots that represent the body of work you have done for your clients, where every line of copy that has ever been approved, every creator that has ever been published is available within the context of that bot. So when somebody new from your team is coming in here, they're able to go straight in and get the value out. So I think prompt engineering will become platformed. I don't think that everybody has to become a great prompt engineer. I think you will need to have certain teams who will be able to think about, hey, what is, I think somebody in one of the earlier panels, they said it really comes down to controlling the, to putting the input in there so you get great output out there. If we leave putting the input in there to everyone, it's going to become very slow to adopt, right? Because everyone has to put in the same stuff. But if you find a way to provide that to your teams, hey, here is an AI that already knows everything it needs to know, so you can just ask it questions and get your work done. I think that's going to change the game.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing, like just a nicer way or probably like a layman way to think about it also is that since you brought up like ChatGPT and everyone's talking about it, the reason why everyone's talking about ChatGPT and Midjourney is because it's the most, it's the gateway, it's also one of those things which is supremely accessible. You are being able to program in English language now. That is what essentially it is, right? Whatever you are doing, whatever task. See, ChatGPT also has its limitations in the things that it's basically dishing out to you and everything versus things like AutoGPT, which are out there, which is really like, it's actually giving you tasks and it's doing subtasks for you by you spitting out whatever command that you're giving it, right? So the thing is that for us, it is going to be all about access. And while we're going to have prompt engineers and stuff, I feel like right now itself, we need to start training ourselves into like how we want this to like move forward because it's only going to get a lot more complex is what I feel. ChatGPT is like the babyest version of AI in my opinion at this point in time.
Sam wouldn't agree, but but I say Sam like he's my friend.
I mean, it's 3, 4. We're going to go to like 50, 60 at least at some point, right?
The iPhone analogy, right? Just keeps getting bigger with more cameras. But Sid, right? Like, I mean, obviously, we spent a lot of time trying to work on Brainstormer, which is one of the platforms that you guys have built at Noesis. And Brainstormer had a reason to exist, right? Like, you had taken exactly what Rishabh is saying that there is a ChatGPT, that is taking in a lot of information and regurgitating not solutions, but like a structured format in which that information can be presented or in which that information can be used. But one of the key places, which is what defined the moat of what you've done with Brainstormer, is that it's not retaining information or responding to information in a fashion and format that you would like it to, and it alludes back to what you were saying in terms of it being pre-fed, it being pre-told, it being learned, and therefore making the information flow inside, well, an agency ecosystem in one case, but for any sort of a business use case, a lot easier. Why don't you talk about a couple of use cases of what you've been able to achieve with Brainstormer and how it will probably be useful in the agency ecosystem as well as a client example, if you may.
No, thanks for that, Prateek. So our Brainstormer platform is effectively a captive ecosystem of GPTs that are pre-trained on data that belongs to an organization, intended for use by the people within the agency itself. So exactly the example I was talking about earlier, that today if somebody has to use ChatGPT, and let's just keep the privacy concerns aside with ChatGPT, but even if you had to release and say, hey, I'm going to pay $20 per user within my organization and give them access to ChatGPT, you would probably see the adoption curve go like this and then crash. And the reason you'd see that crash is because for most of them, they will not even know how to use ChatGPT as part of their process, as part of their way of working, right? Now, when you create this as a tool that you can give to agencies, you're not only enabling one, yes, very cool and sexy, we're an AI-enabled agency, you get that badge, amazing. But more than that, you're addressing a lot of problems that are genuine business problems of today. We are in an industry with probably the highest attrition out there, but we are also in an industry that requires the highest continuity as well. Today, if you're working with a brand for 2-3 years, every campaign you do has to be on brand. But the people who are working in that team are constantly changing. So how do you ensure that new people coming in are going to be able to pick up the ball in the same way that the previous people left? This is not a problem in the AI age. This is a problem for the ages that could potentially be solved by AI. So one of the things we've been experimenting with Brainstormer is literally creating GPTs that become the oracle of all the work you've done for a particular brand. So when somebody new comes into your team, they can have access to all the work they've ever done, every idea we've ever pitched, right? Everything that got approved, that got disapproved, so that the person who has now joined doesn't have to carry on for 3 months figuring out, hey, what is on brand or not on brand for this client. They have directly an AI assistant that's so personalized, that knows so much about the work that they've done, that they're able to start churning out ideas likely to get approved within a month of joining the organization, as opposed to 3 months of trial and error, right? That's just one example, right? We spoke about enhancing the sales process, where somebody new joins your BD team. Oh, hey, have we done work for the automotive industry before? Now, you'd have to wait for an answer, and can someone send me a case study on a WhatsApp group, versus you now have a bot that has all this information available to you, right? So I think a lot of the challenges that agencies have faced for all time, right, of continuity, of standardization, of making data available, about making information available, are going to be addressed by AI. And these are not the kinds of things we think about first when we think about AI. We think about, oh, creativity stuff. What can we sell to the client? But I think that it's going to impact our bottom lines in a much more healthier way than it will our top lines, at least right now.
And taking from there, Rishabh, I think one of the key things that everybody is asking this question, right? Saying, is AI going to replace jobs? Yeah, I know we've had a long chat about this, but is AI going to replace jobs? If AI is going to replace jobs, then what kind of jobs is it going to replace? How are we going to see this entire transition into this AI age actually happen? I mean, I know the short answer to the question is it's not, but how do we debunk that myth that it's going to expect better, it's going to ask for more? And for me, I think I was discussing with Amit right now, at the back, and we were having this conversation, and said, what will AI replace? And I said, listen, the junior executives in the agency, right? It replaces the junior executives in the agency. But if it replaces the junior executives in the agency, how will they become senior, right? So there is a key problem of talent. There's a key problem of talent density. If you're going to take away the bottom rung, then what becomes the bottom rung? So what's your point of view on AI having that effect, especially in our line of work?
So, I mean, the way that I see it is that AI actually is going to force humans to evolve themselves, right? I think that the thing is that all of the things that we've been doing, whether it's going to be menial tasks or it's not going to be menial tasks, or it's going to be like in our line of business, if it's going to be editors, animators, designers, all of those things. We've not seen that right now, but at this point in time, it's helping those people actually evolve themselves in the thinking of what they want to do next as well, which I believe in their brain, they become senior in a certain sense, okay? So I'm just coming from a fact that these tasks are going to become easier, and I just feel like what Sid said is very, very important, is that they will start learning how to prompt themselves. I'll give you an example. There was an entire wave, I'm not going to take that studio's name as well, but there was an entire rank of people that were taken away from a color grading department. Why was that done? Because inside Adobe Premiere itself, now you can use an image from probably Wes Anderson's movie. You can put that in there and it automatically just copies the color grade. What happens to that person over there who's learned color grading all his life? probably, right? The thing is that certain people will have to go into a certain manner where they do think differently or they probably try different stuff. And the thing is that technology is evolving outside the AI space as well. So the thing is that they'll be forced to like train themselves in multiple different things rather than just like one small thing at the end of the day. And I feel like even from a creativity standpoint, the creativity is going to come into how creatively can you get your answer fast enough on chat GPT or prompting or just basically evolving yourself in that sort of manner to be of value to the agency now. So I'm not going to come back and say to you that, hey, people are not going to lose their jobs. It will just have them evolve themselves into something different in that industry itself. So I wouldn't say that it's going to take away jobs. We don't want that to happen. And I do feel the regulations at the end of the day are going to like try and figure out how we can curb this in some sort of manner.
I read an interesting article before you give your comment on that, Sid, because you're much closer to the technology. I read an interesting article which continues to talk about how we first had the industrial revolution, then we had the digital revolution, and now, well, everybody is thinking that we're going to have an AI revolution, which I kind of agree. In all of these three instances, everybody spoke about how humanity is going to go out of jobs, right? Like how, oh my God, like what we've always seen our jobs to be, what are they going to actually be? But in every sort of an evolution curve, survival of the fittest is probably one of the truest principles that exist. And all workforces evolve to do more and evolve to do better. And in my opinion, that's where this AI ecosystem is going to go, right? Like my biggest fear, like the fear that you and I once spoke about when you had a kid is that, can you imagine this child is going to be born with a social media account in his hand? The generation that's going to be born today is going to be born with assistants that are aiding them in whatever they would like to do, whenever they would like to do. What that generation is able to achieve as time progresses is for all of us to see in terms of what it's going to do. But the evolution of the advertising agency, the evolution of the client expectation is going to become a lot more consistent, a lot more sharper, and the ideas to break away from the norm will take a lot more effort than they are taking today, because now the same information is available to everybody. So that only means that we will have to get better, sharper, more consistent, to continue to remain relevant. And that's the only way that, even though our team sizes may shrink, the ability for a client to expect more output, which you always do, is to expect more output in as consistent manner as possible. That's my point of view on it. But Sid, since you know how robots are going to take over, please.
So this is something I think very deeply about, maybe more than I should, but I definitely think there is a huge displacement potential with this technology. I don't think it's a matter of replacement. AI will never have children, right? For that, at least as far as I know. But there will be jobs that will be displaced. And it's interesting you bring up the theory of survival of the fittest. And let's say if Charles Darwin was alive right now and he was to do a study on what does evolution in the workplace look like, right? What would those genetic traits be that will survive the rise of AI? And the way I think about it, I think if you are doing anything where there is limited creative value, you are at risk of being displaced, right? Now, that doesn't just mean the onus of figuring out how to do a job that is giving creative value is only on the employer. It's also on agency owners. It's on entrepreneurs to design organizations that are creating roles that allow for more creative value addition than simply quantitative value addition. So great point on the color grading thing, right? There was a time where color grading added a lot of creative value because you wanted to make sure that the experience was standardized when you were watching a movie. But what does creative value for those people look like now?
Yeah, exactly. That's the evolution I'm basically talking about, yeah.
Right? And I think that's fundamentally the question for organizations to answer. What are the potential spaces I am creating for the people who I think are most at risk in terms of being displaced, and giving them a path to say, hey, okay, you were doing this job that now can be done 10 times faster, 100 times better by AI, right? but you still have the potential of doing a lot more. How do I tap into that potential? How do I, as an agency owner, how do I, as a team leader, how do I, as a manager, create the space for you to use these amazing tools to continue adding value to my business? And coming to, client expectations, I mean, a lot of people here might agree that the best campaigns out there were the ones where the agency inspired the idea and the client. Not the client came and say, hey, I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, right? Now, if we have been able to allow people to articulate vision a lot better because of AI, I think agencies will get a lot better at inspiring better ideas within the client, right? And they will not just be ideas that are a two-liner on a slide. They will be ideas that have now been fully thought out because AI did it. Solution architecture, go-to-market strategy, potential media plan, potential reach, all of it, right? So I think that's the future.
Thanks. I think that screen's gone red. But more importantly, I think what we're saying, right, is that will AI come in and disrupt the advertising ecosystem? Yes. It will make us faster, better, efficient, consistent, like it will to any other part and any other thing that it touches, right? Whether it's a business function, whether it's ROI, whether it's optimizing media plans, whether it is doing all of the work which can be done in a repetitive manner. That's what AI will do. AI will do initially. But as advertisers, and that's the last question that I have for you, maybe one line on each. We are the fastest people to adopt these terminologies. I got a message on LinkedIn of one AI-enabled agency already, right? I'm not a believer yet because I don't think that it's evolved that fast. But since that's the that's the question that we've come here to answer, how soon do you think AI will impact, let's say, 25% of the agency ecosystem or 50% of the agency ecosystem? How soon do you think that time is going to come? Because people think it has already come. I'm a non-believer. I think it'll still take a bit. But how soon do you think it's going to happen?
I think a 24 to 36 month timeline is super realistic. It's already well on its way there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not there right now, but like I'd go with his timeline as well. It's just about the adoption at this point in time. Everyone's still trying to figure out whether they want it or they don't want it inside agencies and what impact it has on their lives. And we spoke about jobs and all of that stuff. If you're talking about agencies itself, right? So there's always going to be 50% resistance and 50% is like gung-ho about it because they are thinking that, hey, this is going to make us efficient. This is going to make us driven. We're going to have better data to make better campaigns or whatever the scenario is, right? The other side is saying that, okay, fine, bro, can this do what I'm going to do? And every single day there's a new AI tool that's coming out which is answering that question. And it's just about awareness as well. So I feel once we get over the hump of adoption, then it's going to be wildfire.
So we have 36 months to survive. After that, we'll see what happens. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yes, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.